Well, well, well. Look who saw it coming. Look who called it months ago, years ago, maybe even decades ago when nobody believed you. You, sitting there with that knowing smile, that quiet certainty burning in your chest like a secret prophecy. You told them, didn't you? You whispered it. You screamed it. You carved it into conversations they pretended not to hear. You said that person, that specific human disaster who destroyed your peace, who poisoned your days, who made you question your own sanity, would fall. And not just fall. No. You predicted the exact way they'd crumble. The specific cracks. The precise moment. Word for word. Detail for detail. Like you were reading from a script written in blood and truth. And now it's happened. Every single thing you said. Every warning you gave. Every consequence you mapped out while they laughed at you. Gaslit you, called you bitter, jealous, dramatic, unstable. It all came true. And the silence, the silence from their side now is deafening, isn't it? Because you weren't guessing. You weren't hoping. You weren't manifesting some petty revenge fantasy. You were simply observing patterns they were too blind to see. You were reading the inevitable conclusion of their actions like a language they never bothered to learn. And now reality has spoken your words back to them, louder than you ever could. They thought you were cursing them when you were just warning them. They thought you were being negative when you were being brutally, painfully accurate. They mistook your clarity for hatred when really, it was just pattern recognition sharpened by pain. Because here's what they never understood about people like you. People who've been hurt, studied, betrayed, and rebuilt. You don't just survive trauma. You decode it. You analyze it. You learn to read the micro-expressions, the hidden intentions, the future consequences of present actions. You become a walking prediction engine powered by lessons learned in fire. And this person, this beautiful disaster who ruined your life, they gave you a masterclass in their own demise. Every lie they told you taught you about their relationship with truth. Every manipulation showed you their strategy. Every betrayal revealed their pattern. And you took notes, mental notes, that turned into predictions. Predictions that everyone dismissed as bitterness until today, until right now. Until the universe decided to fact-check your statements in real time. And suddenly, everyone who called you crazy is going silent. Everyone who defended them is deleting old posts. Everyone who gaslit you is experiencing cognitive dissonance so severe they can't even look at their own reflection without flinching. But let's talk about that moment, shall we? That exact moment when you heard the news. When someone told you what happened to them, when you saw the post, the message, the evidence that everything you predicted came true. Did you smile? Did you laugh? Did you feel that rush of validation so intense it almost felt illegal? Or did you just sit there, perfectly still, perfectly calm, and simply whisper to yourself, "I told you so"? Because that's the thing about being right in a world that loves to protect the wrong people. The victory doesn't taste sweet. It tastes like vindication, like justice, like the universe. Finally admitting that you weren't the problem. They were. And now they're experiencing exactly what you said they would. The job loss you predicted. The relationship collapse you foresaw. The reputation destruction you mapped out, the isolation you warned about, the consequences you listed like ingredients in a recipe for their own downfall, word for word, detail for detail, timeline matching almost perfectly to your original prediction. And the craziest part is, you didn't cause any of it. You didn't plot. You didn't scheme. You didn't manipulate reality into proving you right. You just knew. And now everyone else knows too. They're scrambling now, aren't they? Trying to rewrite history, trying to pretend they always saw it coming too. Trying to act like they didn't mock you, dismiss you, exclude you, paint you as the villain when you were just the messenger. But you remember, you remember every conversation where they defended that person, every time they made excuses for inexcusable behavior, every moment they chose to believe lies over your truth. And now those same people are reaching out, aren't they? Sliding into your messages with careful words. Hey, just wanted to check in. Remember when you said that thing about them? You were kind of right. I never really trusted them anyway. And you're reading these messages with the emotional equivalent of a raised eyebrow, because suddenly, everyone's memory has edited you from villain to hero. Suddenly, your warnings are being reframed as wisdom they always respected. Suddenly, they want to be on your side as if they weren't building a case against your sanity just months ago. But you're not bitter anymore. You're beyond that now. You're in a space where their validation doesn't move you, where their apologies feel empty, where watching them scramble to rewrite their relationship to the truth is just another data point in your growing understanding of human nature. And the person who ruined your life, they're probably wondering right now how you knew. They might even suspect you had something to do with their downfall. They might be paranoid, searching for evidence of your involvement, convinced you cursed them or manipulated people against them. But the truth is so much simpler and so much more devastating than any conspiracy they could imagine. You just paid attention. You watched their patterns. You understood cause and effect. You saw the invisible threads connecting their present actions to their future consequences. You didn't need magic. You didn't need revenge. You just needed time and patience. And the unshakable certainty that people eventually become exactly what they've always been, just more visible. And now, they're visible. Not to just you anymore, but to everyone. The mask has cracked. The performance has ended. The reality you've been seeing all along is now on full display for the world. And you predicted it. Word for word. Beat for beat. Consequence for consequence. Like you were reading tomorrow's headlines while everyone else was still arguing about yesterday's lies. Let's break down exactly how you knew, shall we? Because this wasn't luck. This wasn't coincidence. This wasn't some mystical intuition falling from the sky. This was science. Painful, personal science built from observation and pattern recognition. You watched them operate. You saw how they treated people when they thought nobody important was watching. You noticed the inconsistencies between their public image and their private behavior. You cataloged the lies, small at first, then growing. You tracked how they blamed everyone else for problems they created. You documented their lack of accountability, their refusal to grow, their addiction to attention, their need to be seen as exceptional while doing nothing exceptional. And from all that data, you built a model, a predictive model of their inevitable collapse. Because people who refuse to look at themselves eventually run out of external things to blame. People who build their identity on lies eventually forget which version they told to whom. People who manipulate others eventually miscalculate and choose the wrong target. People who burn bridges for fun eventually find themselves on an island they can't escape. You saw all of this coming because you understood something fundamental about human behavior. Consistency reveals character, and their consistency was consistently destructive. They were consistent in their selfishness, consistent in their dishonesty, consistent in their need to control narratives, consistent in their inability to take genuine responsibility, consistent in their pattern of love bombing, devaluing, discarding, consistent in choosing short-term gratification over long-term sustainability. And consistency, when it's consistently toxic, always leads to the same destination: collapse, isolation, exposure, consequence. You didn't predict their downfall because you wanted it. You predicted it because the math was obvious to anyone actually paying attention. But nobody was paying attention except you, because you were the one they hurt. You were the one who had to study them to survive them. You were the one who had no choice but to become fluent in their particular brand of destruction. And that forced education, that painful PhD in their psychology, gave you the ability to see their future written in their present. Every red flag they waved, every boundary they violated, every person they used and discarded, every lie they told with that confident smile. It all added up to exactly what's happening to them right now. And here's the part that probably bothers them the most, if they ever figure it out. You didn't just predict the what. You predicted the how and the when. You knew it would start with someone they trusted turning on them because you knew they'd eventually betray that person too. You knew their career would crumble because you saw how they took credit for others' work and burned professional relationships. You knew their reputation would shatter because you understood that masks require maintenance and they were getting lazy with theirs. You knew their support system would evaporate because you recognized that they attracted equally toxic people who would abandon ship at the first sign of sinking. You knew the timeline because you understood the pace at which consequences compound. You knew it would be this year, this season, maybe even this month because you could feel the pressure building. You could sense the universe getting tired of their act. You could see the cracks spreading faster. And when you shared these predictions with people who would listen, they thought you were being dramatic. They thought you were letting your hurt cloud your judgment. They thought you were projecting your pain onto their future. But projection is when you assign your feelings to someone else's situation. Prediction is when you assign logical outcomes to observable patterns. And you weren't projecting. You were calculating. You were using data. You were applying the basic principle that actions have consequences and patterns have destinations. They called it negativity. You called it pattern recognition. They called it bitterness. You called it literacy in the language of cause and effect. They called it obsession. You called it self-protection through analysis. Because when someone damages you that deeply, you have two choices. You can pretend it didn't happen and risk letting it happen again, or you can study exactly how and why it happened so you can see it coming next time. You chose the second option. You chose to become a student of their destruction before it became yours again. You chose to map their trajectory so thoroughly that you could predict their crash landing. And now that the crash has happened, exactly as you said it would, you're not surprised. You're not shocked. You're not even particularly satisfied in the way revenge would feel. You're just confirmed, validated, proven correct by reality itself. And that confirmation means something deeper than just being right about one person's downfall. It means your instincts were accurate. It means your analysis was sound. It means the pain they caused you didn't break your perception. It sharpened it. It means you can trust yourself again. Trust your judgment. Trust your ability to read people and situations. Trust that when something feels wrong, it probably is. Trust that when you see patterns others dismiss, you're not crazy. You're just paying attention. And that's the real gift hidden in this vindication. Not just that they fell, not just that you were right, but that you've reclaimed your confidence in your own clarity. They tried to convince you that you were the problem, that you were too sensitive, too suspicious, too analytical, too intense. And for a while, maybe you believed them. Maybe you questioned yourself. Maybe you wondered if you were seeing things that weren't there. But now, the evidence is undeniable. You saw things that were definitely there. Things everyone else was too comfortable or too scared to acknowledge. And your ability to see clearly. Even when it hurt, even when it isolated you, even when it made you unpopular, that ability just saved you from wasting any more time on someone whose timer was always running out. So how does it feel, really, now that you've been proven right, Now that your predictions have manifested in high-definition reality for everyone to witness, does it feel like victory? Does it feel like closure? Does it feel like the universe finally balanced a scale that was tilted against you for too long? Or does it feel heavier than you expected? Because here's what nobody tells you about being right when everyone thought you were wrong. The vindication is real, but it's not clean. It's not simple. It's not the pure dopamine hit of winning an argument. It's complicated, layered, bittersweet. Because yes, there's satisfaction in watching reality prove your point. But there's also grief. Grief for the time you lost. Grief for the you who had to suffer through their destruction before escaping it. Grief for all the moments you tried to warn people and were labeled as the toxic one instead. Grief for the relationships that ended because you couldn't pretend everything was fine. Grief for the version of yourself that believed things could be different, believed they could change, believed your love or loyalty or patience would be enough. And now you know it never would have been enough, because they were never interested in change. And mixed with that grief is anger. Not fresh anger, not hot rage, but that cold, ancient fury that comes from being disbelieved, from being treated like you were the problem when you were actually the warning system, from watching people defend someone who was actively hurting you, from being excluded, isolated, vilified for telling a truth that made others uncomfortable. And now those same people are silent. Or worse, they're acting like they knew all along, rewriting history to include themselves on the right side of it, deleting evidence of their defense of your abuser, quietly shifting their narrative to match yours without ever apologizing for calling you a liar. And that might make you angrier than the original betrayal, because at least the person who hurt you was honest about being dishonest. They were consistent in their inconsistency. But these others, these bystanders and enablers, they're trying to escape accountability by pretending they were never really on the wrong side. They're stealing your vindication by claiming they always believed you. And you're watching this happen in real time with a strange mixture of amusement and disgust. But underneath the anger and the grief, there's something else. Something quieter and more powerful. There's peace. The peace of knowing you weren't crazy. The peace of having reality confirm your perception. The peace of watching natural consequences do what you could never do yourself. The peace of not having to explain anymore, defend anymore, prove anymore. Because the proof is public now. The evidence is undeniable now. Your truth is everyone's truth now. And that peace, it's making you realize something important. You don't need their apologies. You don't need their acknowledgement. You don't need them to admit they were wrong about you. Because their admission doesn't change what happened. It doesn't erase the damage. It doesn't give you back the time you spent being misunderstood. And more importantly, you've moved beyond the need for external validation. You've built an internal certainty that's stronger than anyone's opinion. You know what you know. You see what you see. And whether others agree or disagree, believe or disbelieve, that knowing remains solid. And that's the transformation nobody warns you about. When you survive someone trying to destroy your reality, when you maintain your truth despite mass denial, when you predict outcomes that eventually manifest exactly as you said, you don't just gain vindication, you gain something far more valuable. You gain unshakable trust in your own perception. You gain immunity to gaslighting. You gain the ability to walk away from people and situations without needing external confirmation that you're making the right choice. You gain the strength to be misunderstood without breaking. You gain the wisdom to let time prove your point instead of exhausting yourself arguing it. You gain the clarity to distinguish between people who genuinely didn't know and people who chose not to see. You gain the discernment to recognize patterns before they fully play out. You gain the confidence to trust your instincts, even when they contradict popular opinion. You gain the freedom that comes from not needing to convince anyone of anything ever again. And that freedom, that's worth more than any apology. That's worth more than any revenge. That's worth more than watching them fall. Because their fall is temporary. Their consequences are specific to them. But your evolution, your growth, your strengthened intuition, that's permanent. That's yours, forever. So yes, they lost everything just like you said they would. Yes, your prediction came true word for word. Yes, everyone who doubted you is now scrambling to make sense of what you always understood. But the real story isn't their downfall. The real story is your rise, your transformation from victim to analyst, from wounded to wise, from doubted to undeniable. You didn't just survive someone who tried to ruin your life. You studied them so thoroughly that you could predict their future. You turned your pain into precision, your trauma into insight, your suffering into a superpower they never saw coming. And now you're standing in the aftermath of their collapse, not celebrating like you thought you would, but simply observing with that same knowing calm that allowed you to see this coming in the first place. Because you're not interested in their destruction anymore. You're interested in your own construction. Building a life where you never ignore red flags again, where you never doubt your instincts again, where you never let anyone convince you that your clarity is confusion, and that life that's already being built has been building since the moment you walked away, since the moment you stopped explaining, since the moment you chose to trust yourself over their version of reality. And now here we are, in the aftermath, in the space where predictions become documented reality, where your words echo back through time proving themselves true, where everyone who dismissed you has to confront the fact that you saw something they refused to see. And what's interesting about this space is how it changes your position in the social ecosystem. You're no longer the crazy one. You're no longer the bitter ex or the jealous coworker or the dramatic friend. You're now the one who was right, the one who saw it coming, the one whose judgment, in retrospect, should have been trusted. And people are treating you differently now, aren't they? Suddenly, your opinions carry weight. Suddenly, your assessments of people and situations are being sought out. Suddenly, you're the reference point for reality checking. Suddenly, you're the person others come to when they need to know if they're seeing red flags or imagining them. And there's irony in that. Bitter, sharp irony. Because these same people wouldn't listen when it mattered. When your warnings could have protected them. When your insights could have saved time and pain. But now that reality has proven you correct, now they want your wisdom. Now they value your perception. Now they trust your pattern recognition. And you have a choice to make in this moment. You can be bitter about the timing, angry that validation came too late, resentful that they only respect your judgment after watching you be right. Or you can accept this as the natural progression of how truth works in a world that resists uncomfortable realities. People don't believe warnings about danger until they see someone get hurt. They don't trust predictions about consequences until consequences arrive. They don't respect pattern recognition until the pattern completes itself publicly. It's not personal. It's just human nature. People protect their comfort until reality makes it impossible. And your prediction, your accurate, detailed prediction, made it impossible for anyone to remain comfortable in their denial. You forced reality into the conversation, not through argument or pressure, but simply by being right when it mattered. And now you have authority, not the kind you asked for, not the kind you necessarily wanted, but the kind that comes from being proven correct about something everyone else got wrong. And with that authority comes responsibility. The responsibility to use your insight wisely, to help others see what they can't see yet, to warn without needing to be believed, to predict without attachment to being proven right. Because here's what you've learned through this entire experience. Being right doesn't heal the wounds caused by being dismissed. Vindication doesn't erase the loneliness of being the only one who saw the truth. Watching someone fall doesn't undo the damage they caused when they were rising. Revenge, even the passive kind where you just watch karma work, doesn't satisfy the way you thought it would. What actually satisfies, what actually heals, what actually matters, is the person you became through the process. The you who learned to trust yourself despite overwhelming opposition. The you who maintained your truth when everyone called it delusion. The you who studied patterns instead of just reacting to pain. The you who predicted outcomes and then had the patience to wait for reality to confirm them. That version of you, that's the prize. That's the transformation. That's what makes all of this worthwhile. Not their downfall, your rise. Not their exposure, your evolution. Not their loss, your gain of unshakable self-trust. And now you're walking through the world differently. You're not looking for validation anymore. You're not trying to convince anyone of anything. You're not arguing your reality. You're simply existing in it, clearly, calmly, with the quiet confidence of someone who knows what they know. Oh, they thought they had the world wrapped around their little finger, didn't they? Like master manipulators in their own twisted play. Every move they made was calculated. Every word they spoke, dripping with deception. Nah, this wasn't their first act. They'd been perfecting their craft for years. Lies layered on top of more lies, so smooth, so convincing, it was almost art. Almost. It was like stepping into a twisted circus. Everywhere you turned, there was another act. The tightrope walker balancing lies, the magician making their flaws disappear, the puppet master pulling strings you didn't even know were attached to you. Smoke and mirrors, all of it. Shadows dancing in the corners, distracting you, keeping you guessing. And you played along. At first. You clapped for their performance. You bought the illusion, but deep down you felt it, didn't you? That creeping sense that something wasn't right. You ignored it though. Yeah, you told yourself, maybe it's just me. Maybe you're being too paranoid, too sensitive. But that gut feeling, that tiny spark of doubt, it never left. It kept whispering to you, this isn't real. Still, you stayed. You let them spin their webs around you. Thread by thread, they played their tricks so well that even you started questioning your own reality. That's how good they were, or so they thought. Because here's the thing about illusions. They always have a flaw, a crack, a weak spot. It's inevitable. And theirs, oh, it was glaring. It was the one thing they never accounted for. You. They underestimated you. They thought you were blind. They thought you couldn't see through their lies. But what they didn't realize is that you were watching. Quietly. Patiently. You studied them like a hawk circling its prey. You saw the way their stories didn't quite line up. The way their charm flickered when they thought no one was looking. The way their mask slipped, even for just a second. And that's all it took. 1 second. One crack in the illusion for you to see the truth. They were never as powerful as they made themselves out to be. They weren't gods. They were clowns. Clowns pretending to be kings. And the joke was on them. So now let me ask you, how many times did they fool you? How often did you believe their magic was real? Be honest. How long did you let them pull your strings? Because the moment you stop playing their game, that's the moment their whole circus comes crashing down. And trust me, it's a sight to see. They thought they were untouchable. They were so confident, weren't they? They dug deep into their bag of tricks. This wasn't just any spell, it was their masterpiece. Their darkest, most twisted move. The one they just knew would shatter you, break you, reduce you to nothing. But you know what they didn't count on? The one flaw in their sinister little plan? The spell wasn't made for someone like you. Nah, you weren't their average target. You weren't some fragile glass waiting to be shattered. You were steel, tempered by every storm, every betrayal, every scar. They thought they could crush you, but instead, their so-called magic rebounded, bounced back so hard it left them staggering. It was like a boomerang, sharp and unforgiving. They hurled it with all their might, fueled by their bitterness, their jealousy, their need to control. But they forgot one critical thing about boomerangs. They always come back, and when it hit, it hit them twice as hard, straight into their own reflection. And you stood there and watched, calm, collected, maybe even a little amused, because the very chaos they tried to unleash on you was now theirs to deal with. The lies they told, now twisting around them like vines, choking out their escape. The traps they set, now snapping shut around their ankles. You ever see someone scramble when their world starts to crumble? Oh, it's a sight to behold. They panic. They try to cover their tracks, rewrite their story, shift the blame, anything to dodge the consequences of their own actions. But it's too late. Way too late. The spell has already done its damage, and there's no undoing it now. What's the saying, you reap what you sow? Well, they sowed destruction. They poured all their energy into tearing you down, and now they're drowning in the very darkness they conjured. It's poetic, really. Ironic. The hunter becomes the hunted, the puppet master, tangled in their own strings. They wanted to be the storm, but they never realized you're the lightning. Fierce, unstoppable, and always striking where it's least expected. So let me ask you this. Do you feel sorry for them? Nah, don't waste your pity. They had every chance to choose a different path, but they didn't, and now they're left with nothing but the wreckage of their own making. And you're already miles ahead, free from their games, walking a path they'll never understand. They stared at you like you were a puzzle with missing pieces. Nah, not just a puzzle. A riddle wrapped in fire, one they'd never solve. They couldn't figure you out, could they? The resilience, the fire in your eyes that refused to die, no matter how many storms they threw your way. Oh, they tried, over and over. They threw every trick, every weapon, every twisted game at you, and yet you rose. Every single time. To them it was impossible, incomprehensible. They couldn't grasp how someone could bend without breaking, how someone could bleed and still keep fighting. It was like watching a shadow grow brighter, something that should have been impossible in their dark little world. You weren't playing by their rules, and it terrified them. See, their power was built on illusions. Smoke, mirrors, manipulation. They thrived in the dark, preying on fear and doubt. But you carried something they could never understand. Something they couldn't manipulate or control. A strength so raw, so unshakable, it didn't just survive their attacks, it fed on them. It's like fire. The more they tried to smother you, the more fuel they gave your flames. And those flames, they burned through every lie, every betrayal, every attempt to drag you down. They didn't just fail to put you out, they ended up igniting something unstoppable. And that's what they couldn't stand, because they realized they weren't just losing control of you, they never had control in the first place. Every time they thought they'd crushed you, you came back sharper, stronger, more dangerous. They threw darkness at you and you turned it into light. They threw pain at you and you turned it into power. You ever notice how people like them can't handle that kind of strength? It eats at them. It's like holding a mirror up to their own weakness. They see everything they lack in you: resilience, courage, heart. and it makes them hate you even more. But that hate, it's their problem, not yours, because your power isn't about them, it's about you. So let me ask you this. What strength do you hold that they'll never understand? What is it that kept you standing when the world tried to knock you down? Is it your heart? Your mind? That unrelenting fire in your soul? Whatever it is, hold on to it, protect it, because that's what makes you unstoppable. That's what sets you apart from them. They'll keep studying you, trying to figure out the secret, but here's the thing. They never will. Your power isn't something they can steal or imitate. It's yours, built from every scar, every victory, every moment you refuse to give up. And now, they're left in the dark, clutching at shadows, while you stand in the light, stronger, wiser, untouchable. Let them wonder. Let them hate, because at the end of the day, the power they couldn't understand is the power that sets you free. Oh, how the tables have turned. They thought they were the puppeteer pulling the strings, controlling every move, but now they're the ones tangled in their own web of lies, caught, stuck, lost in the chaos they created, fumbling to escape the traps they so carefully set for you. It's poetic, isn't it? Watching them trip over the same deceit they thought would destroy you. Like a magician tangled in their own strings, their grand tricks now exposed as nothing but cheap illusions. The audience, life itself, is no longer applauding. It's watching in cold silence as their mask slips, their game unravels. They thought they could outsmart you, outsmart everyone. But here's the truth. Deception is a double-edged sword. The moment they started spinning their lies, they were already walking into a trap of their own design. And now, it's all collapsing. Their world, their control, their facade, it's crumbling piece by piece. You ever seen someone scramble under the weight of their own deception? It's like watching a house of cards fall in slow motion. Every card that collapses reveals another truth they tried to bury. And the look in their eyes? Oh, it's something to remember. Panic, desperation, the realization that they're not as invincible as they thought. Here's the irony. They thought they could control you, that you were the pawn in their little game. But you were the wild card. The unexpected force they couldn't predict, and now they're the ones left exposed. Vulnerable, powerless. Like gravity pulling them down no matter how hard they try to claw their way back up. Every lie they told, every scheme they played, it's all dragging them deeper into the pit they dug for you. And you're standing at the edge, watching them fall, unbothered, because you've already moved on. Let's be real. They did this to themselves. They thought they were untouchable, that they could get away with anything. But life has a way of evening the scales. Karma isn't always swift, but when it comes, oh, it's ruthless. And now, they're learning that the hard way. So tell me this. Have you ever seen someone crumble under the weight of their own deception? Have you watched the moment when their games turn on them? If you have, then you know. There's no sweeter justice than watching someone fall into the very pit they dug for you. And that's where they are now. Trapped, defeated, powerless to escape the mess they created. While they stumbled in their darkness, clinging to their broken games, you rose. Quietly, strongly, and now, you're untouchable. They tried to dim your fire, but all they did was stoke an inferno they couldn't control. You didn't just survive their chaos, you mastered it. And in doing so, you became something they never saw coming. Unstoppable. Your power isn't loud, it doesn't scream for attention. No, it's steady. Like the calm before a storm, the kind that moves through the world with a silent force, leveling everything in its path without warning. You've become a quiet storm. And they didn't even see it coming until it was too late. While they were busy chasing shadows, you rebuilt yourself. Every scar, every wound, every tear. Those became your armor, your proof that nothing, no one can break you. You've transformed pain into purpose, weakness into strength. And now you stand on a foundation they could never shatter. Let's get one thing straight. They fear you now. Oh, they might not admit it, but you see it in their eyes. It's that hesitation, that uncertainty, because the rules they lived by no longer apply to you. You've stepped out of their reach, out of their control, and into your own power. You refused to play their game. You saw through the lies, the manipulation, the endless loops they tried to trap you in. And instead of getting dragged down, you climbed higher. Every step you took was a step away from their chaos and toward your own freedom. Now they're left watching, bitter, powerless, as you rise beyond what they could ever comprehend. Think about it. They built their whole identity on tearing you down, on making you doubt yourself. But look at you now. Their tricks didn't work, their games didn't last, and here you are, a force they can't touch, a power they can't explain. This isn't just growth, it's transformation. It's turning every ounce of their darkness into fuel for your fire. And as you rise, you're not just leaving them behind. You're proving that they never had the power they thought they did. So tell me, how does it feel to know you've become the one they fear? To know that your strength is something they can't match, can't touch, can't even understand. That's the beauty of it all. While they flail in their shadows, you ascend. Unbeatable, unstoppable, untouchable. Now they watch. Oh, they watch everything. Every step you take, every choice you make. Not because they care. Nah, that ship sailed long ago. But because they can't figure it out. You slipped through their fingers like smoke, and it's eating them alive. How did you escape? How did you grow stronger when every trap they set should have broken you? These questions haunt them. And now, you're the puzzle they can't solve. The enigma they can't stop obsessing over. It's almost pathetic, isn't it? The way they dissect your life, searching for clues, trying to map out how you went from someone they thought they controlled to someone they can't even touch. They replay the past like a broken record, hoping to find the moment it all fell apart for them and came together for you. But the truth, it's not a single moment. It's every moment. Every time you rose after they knocked you down. Every time you chose growth over their games. To them, it's like staring at a puzzle with missing pieces. They sit there, frustrated, trying to piece it together, but no matter how hard they try, it'll never fit. Why? Because the pieces they're looking for aren't in your past. They're in your soul. And that's the part they'll never understand. The strength you built, the fire inside you, the resilience they can't replicate. It's beyond their reach, beyond their comprehension. You know what's funny? They thought they were the architects of your downfall, the masterminds behind your pain, but now they're the ones stuck in a loop. Their own obsession has become their prison. They can't let go, can't stop watching, can't stop trying to figure you out. And the irony, the more they try, the more lost they become. Why can't they let go? It's simple, your strength terrifies them. It's a reminder of everything they aren't. You shattered the illusion they built around themselves, and now they're left standing in the wreckage, staring at their own reflection, and they hate what they see. But instead of fixing their own flaws, they fixate on you. because it's easier to study your strength than to confront their own weakness. You live rent-free in their mind now. Every time you take a step forward, they feel it. Every time you succeed, it burns them. And the best part? You don't even have to try. Just being you, just living your truth, is enough to keep them spiraling. They're obsessed, consumed by the one thing they'll never have, the power to rise above it all. But here's the kicker. They'll never figure it out. They'll keep searching, keep analyzing, keep trying to crack the code, but the truth will always elude them. Because your strength isn't something that can be studied or copied. It's something you earned. Something they'll never have. So let them watch. Let them obsess. While they waste their time chasing shadows, you're out there chasing greatness. And that's the ultimate power move. You're free. They're stuck, and no matter how hard they try, they'll never catch up to the force you've become. And now we've reached the end of their twisted game, the point where they realize all their schemes, all their shadows and spells. It wasn't enough. Oh, they tried, didn't they? With every trick, every betrayal, they thought they were setting the stage for your downfall. But instead, they built the foundation for their own collapse. Their dark magic has fizzled out. The illusions they used to control you, exposed. The strings they thought they could pull, cut. And now, you stand tall, while they're left in the rubble of their own arrogance. The power they once wielded over you is gone, shattered, reduced to nothing more than a reminder of who you used to be, and who you'll never be again. It's like a chessboard flipped upside down. They fancied themselves the king strutting around the board with their false confidence, thinking they had you trapped, but they didn't see it, did they? The queen lurking in the shadows, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. And when you moved, it was checkmate. Game over. And now, you hold the real power. The power they'll never understand, because this victory isn't just about them. It's about you. About the strength you've built, the resilience that carried you through, and the unshakable fire that burns inside you now. They didn't just lose, they became the lesson. A living, breathing reminder of what happens when you try to break someone who refuses to stay down. So here's the real question. What will you do now? Now that their tricks are exposed, their control dismantled, and their power reduced to ash. Because this moment, this is your turning point. This is the part where you stop looking back and start sprinting forward. Let them study your strength. Let them obsess over the force they can't comprehend. While they sit there, trapped in their endless cycle of self-destruction, you're out there breaking barriers, shattering limits, and rewriting the rules. Because nothing they do, nothing they ever do, will come close to the power you've built. So rise, thrive, keep pushing, keep building, keep conquering. Let your victory be the flame that lights your path, and the shadow that haunts theirs. Because this is your story now, and nothing will ever stop you again.